Hey party people, and welcome to Answer Record Week, where every day this week I'm going to do a new video. Yes, this is like oftentimes I do weeks on my blog, and oftentimes it's like one or two videos and mostly text blogs. This time, a full video week about answer records. And no, it's not a calendar week. I mean, you might notice we're starting at the end of the week, so it's not going to be like, hey, here's your one video, enjoy the week, bye, out. It just means like 5, 6, maybe 7 videos in a row on specifically this topic this week, answer records. And I think we're going to hit on some interesting stuff, old school classics, 90s classics, and I think some stuff most of you guys, even you really like in the know hardcore guys, have never heard of. So, should be pretty fun. Today I'm going to start out with, because we just want to jump right into it, so we're going to start out with not one of the more rare ones, but just a real hardcore, old school classic, all the way back to 1985 on Starlight Records. Actually, I'm going to start you off with the original record. So, you'll see here it's in a Buddha sleeve, but I don't think the actual record's in Buddha sleeve. I bought this used. I don't think the sleeve has anything to do with it, because it's on Starlight Records, as you can see on the label. This is the Bad Boys featuring K-Love, and the song is also called Bad Boys. Now, this is the Bad Boys' debut. They've actually done a bunch of records all the way through the 80s and even into the early 90s. I actually blogged a little bit about one of their past records, a song called Veronica, because, again, in the whole Answer Record themes, the Glamour Girls and Craig G, the Juice Crew guys, did an Answer record to Veronica called Oh Veronica. But this is before Veronica, the record they did before that, called Bad Boys. So Bad Boys is a group, K-Love is the guest. You'll notice this is written and co-produced by Anthony Dick, who is Tony D, as in not New Jersey's, Trenton's Tony D, from Portraits Teachers and all that kind of stuff, but rather Tony D, who is down with MC Search, and who is later on got the gas face in the song The Gas Face. When they say Tony D gets the gas face, that's who they're talking about. And who was later in Bronx Vice, amongst other things. In fact, the other Tony D heard the gas face and thought it was about him, but no, it's about this guy. So I'm going to play clips of it. It's definitely not only very 80s, but very 1985 specifically. It's got sort of a really kind of stripped down kind of beat. It's got some human beatboxing on it. It's got some very heavy-handed kind of synthesizer keyboards where they're playing things like the Inspector Gadget theme. So that kind of song. I'll play a clip of it again. It speaks for itself.
If you're a real MC, like you claim to be,
well, this is for the record and the young ladies.
Not like the other MCs who talk about themselves.
We're gonna break it down sweeter than anyone else.
See, we're 4 MCs here to start things off
like macaroni and spaghetti. We've got the sauce.
So I'm gonna turn to my left and to my right.
Cause the man on the key gonna rock on that. We're gonna break a little rhythm full of controversy for all the males in the house and the young ladies.
And so now we have the Answer record. We switched. This is now Bad Girls by Betty Boo and Mrs. Thing. This is also on Starlight Records, so they actually put out both. And David Ang, who I mentioned Tony D, co-produced Bad Boys. The other co-producer is David Ang. He's a producer/engineer who did a lot of stuff, but who was worked for and was possibly even a partial owner or something of Starlight Records, so he's on a lot of their stuff. So he produced both of them. He produces this one as well. So, Betty Boo, Mrs. Thing, this is also 1985, so it came out pretty closely after the other one. And as you can guess, this is the female response to Bad Boys. Bad Boys, Bad Girls. It's very kind of typical. You have things like, the show, and then Salt and Peppa do the show Stoppa. You have, Boogie Boys do Fly Girl, so Pebbly Poo does Fly Guys, UTFO does a song about Roxanne, and so then Roxanne Shante does a song about the guys, so that's sort of the real typical thing, is to just sort of flip the genders, and that's exactly what this does. But that's not entirely new in this case, in the sense that Bad Boys already sort of had both genders addressed in this, because K-Love is a female, and she's a human beatbox, which was pretty interesting because it's a rare combination. And she also, by the way, did a record with MC Serch, again, because they're all sort of in that connected family with Tony D. So just the fact that, hey, that was the boys, now here's the girls, isn't really the selling point on this record, because we already sort of had the girls, we already had K-Love responding to the Bad Boys on the Bad Boys record. So what is this record about? Not so much except about themselves. The Betty Boo just kind of keeps rapping about herself through the whole thing. And now, okay, so let's talk about this. Betty Boo and Miss Thing are both MCs, and this is not the same Betty Boo who was down with the She-Rockers and who Nicki Minaj basically jacked, her whole style and career from. I know I probably shouldn't even get into this. I know people would say, oh, no, she jacked from, she bit from, like, Lil' Kim and stuff. A little bit. Instances here and there. There's definitely things you can pick up. You can look at a poster and an album cover and say, oh, look, one is clearly inspired by the other. But overall style, the whole thing of the way she raps and the way she sings and her look and the crazy videos and all that, really totally Betty Boo, but not this Betty Boo. That's why it's a total, I shouldn't even get into it. It's a bit of a derail. This is not that Betty Boo. This is Betty Boo, who is also part of Bronx Vice, who I mentioned before. And this is pretty much otherwise her only solo record. Well, not solo, she's with Mrs. Thing. This is both of theirs only record. Again, 1985 on Starlight. And this Betty Boo is clearly built her career, and this is probably why it's short-lived, on being an impression of Betty Boop, the old 1920s black and white cartoon character. So it's a very high, unusual, forced, contrived kind of voice, and catchphrases and stuff like that. So it actually, honestly, gets kind of irritating on repeated listens. Mrs. Thing actually sounds like a normal grown woman, so she comes off sounding a lot better. In a way, there's a novelty value to this, which already being an Answer record, you're looking for novelty value, and novelty value is part of the story. But then Betty Boo, being Betty Boo, adds a lot, compounds the novelty value of the song. So I guess that's really what they're shooting for. But it's not surprising that there aren't a whole lot more Betty Boo records, extending into the 90s like there were Bad Boy records. So I'm going to play a clip of this. Again, just an early example, certainly not the earliest example. Answer records go way back in hip-hop, but certainly a very old-school early example. 1985, Starlight Records, Bad Boys, now Bad Girls. And so stay tuned tomorrow and the next day and next day and next day and next day. They might not all be actually tomorrow. It'll take me a little while to shoot and edit and upload these videos. But the whole bunch of next videos, all going to be Answer records just like this one, except totally different. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And that's it. Let's listen to Bad Girls.